time today. We really appreciate it. I guess we'll just get started. Let's really hear from you, okay? Introduce yourself. Let us know a bit about your background and also, sharing what led you to start Lipaworld.
Yeah, thank you so much. And hello to everybody who's dialing in wherever you are. But Leap World was really built off a pain point that I had personally. Looking for a way to remit back to our loved ones for its intended purpose.
Mm.
So one of the big problems that we sort of saw was that many people want to send value home, but they usually have issues with how that money gets used. And number two, with regards to KYC restrictions, if one of their loved ones do not have, formal documentation or are undocumented for that matter, they can't receive funds. So we thought about sort of finding a solution for that. And we built this marketplace that allows you to essentially pick exactly what you want to send for its intended purpose. So whether it's groceries, utilities, healthcare, you can buy in a set denomination of voucher that gets sent to your device via WhatsApp. And that person can then use those unique codes to purchase exactly what they want at the point of sale, online, or even across informal traders in some markets.
That's amazing. And I think it's a very important solution because several times you hear stories about people sending money back
Mm-hmm.
home and it's not being used for the purpose it was sent, you know. But yeah, I'm curious to know before we even go into like more details, how do you track that it's actually being used for that specific purpose?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So each voucher that gets generated on our platform is essentially ring-fenced to a provider locally. So
Mm.
if you, for example, buy a ShopRite voucher, your loved ones back home will only be able to redeem it at a ShopRite outlet. So
Got it.
you can control somewhat how that remittance gets used through its voucher form, essentially.
I see. That totally makes sense. All right, so let's just get into more. Did you grow up in South Africa? I'm just curious to know what your background is like, was
Ah,
like, living back home and how you
yeah,
eventually became transitioned here in the US.
yeah, that's always an interesting question. So my journey is very interesting in the sense that I was born in the DRC, so
Ah,
Congolese, despite the accent. I then did a few years in Eswatini and then South Africa. And then my family and I moved to the US just under 2 years ago. So, moving was really part of, my background, and remittance, as you would imagine, was really how,
mm,
we got by because, dad was working elsewhere and, we needed to be, provided for and
right.
have our education. So that's the background. And, being an immigrant is, as you mentioned in your intro, is such a hard thing, right? Like, many of us, go to these new places. Some don't speak English,
Hmm.
which is even
Yep.
super harder. And you have to make a way. But, the US has been so embracing of many cultures. And I think it's very unique to have a place where you can literally be who you want to be.
Absolutely.
And it's something we have to be grateful for. So, yeah, very, very blessed to be building this business in this country.
That's awesome. I love that you also mentioned that like this was literally part of your story, right? Which is great.